computer. All right. Good evening to everybody.
Welcome.
I'm assuming that's not the real sky behind you, but it's cool.
I'm going to sit over here. Enjoy your meeting.
You never know. So, are you all revved up tonight?
I'm ready every night. I got tomorrow. I'm going to El Cerrito and doing a workshop, and then next weekend I'm in Los Angeles, a couple different places, and then I go to Hawaii, and then to the East Coast eventually, and then to the UK, Germany, the Czech Republic, Switzerland, India.
Wow.
I'll be all over the place this year. So right now I'm kind of home
Well, perfect timing.
Yeah.
We got you in the in-between.
Yeah.
Today is December 29th, the year 2023. It's an astrological reading for the Rev. My name's Eric Starwalker. So do you know much about your chart, or have you had your chart read before?
I've had a Indian palm leaf reading, with the Vedic charts. Two of those. They've been pretty much in line. I've had Western readings are different than my Indian readings.
Right.
It's like in Western readings, I'm a Pisces, and then on Vedic, it's different. I'm kind of like
You're still at the very beginning of Pisces, even in sidereal, because Vedic is really, we're talking about sidereal astrology versus tropical. And there's a whole movement with Vedic astrologers that are shifting back to the tropical zodiac. So we're really talking about sidereal versus tropical. But either way, you've been living it, so you're the final judge. So what I have been guided to do is to concentrate on the opportunity to evolve our consciousness to the gift of the particular cycle we're living through right now, rather than predicting. What I found was, especially the more advanced the soul, the less likely I can predict for them, because they have a creative input on the choices that they make in the way in which they engage with the opportunity given. For younger souls, they're pretty much predictable, so you can't predict for them. But the more creatively and awakened you are, the more you have a choice in terms of the means to which you engage with that opportunity. So that's what I'll be doing tonight, with your permission. So your interesting enough, your life path number. Are you familiar with that? The birthday numbers add to the number 3.
No, birthday number. Oh yeah, March. That's number 3.
You add all your birth numbers together and reduce them to one number, and you wind up with the number 3. That's called your path number, your destiny number. And interestingly enough, Lynette's also a number 3 path. So the path that you've chosen, the life path number suggests the path that offers the greatest opportunity for your soul's evolution. And the number 3 is literally finding your voice, learning how to communicate your vocal cords, mastering the art of wordsmithing, and using language as a means through which you can communicate and tell your story. 3s are the joy bringers. They like to really lighten things up with the stories they tell. And the 3s are naturally creative storytellers. So you've learned how to use your voice to communicate the high knowledge and advancement of consciousness you've experienced in other incarnations. This may have been, a new domain for you to explore, because from what I can sense from your matrix here is that in many incarnations, you were beyond language. You were experiencing states of being that were almost unspeakable. So much of your opportunity and task has been to learn how to communicate and speak the unspeakable, to describe those qualities of being that are almost beyond language. And yet you, by the wordsmithing that you've done, may have noticed that certain words carry the power to suggest or point a person in the direction of having their own experience with what you're talking about. So threes are always on the move. They tend to be like the mail carriers. You ever see that movie, The Postman, with Kevin Costner, where the world had kind of, have you seen that movie?
No, but I was a man. Yeah, mailman, that fits.
Yeah. So you were a mailman?
Yeah, I was a vice president of the Carriers Union in Oakland at one time. There you go.
Well, that's perfect. And as you know, the mail carrier has all his mail in his truck around, and he can't spend a whole lot of time with Farmer John talking, shooting the breeze, because he's got all these letters to deliver.
Got to make
so many times the messages you're given are for specific people to deliver the message. You're just the message carrier, and that's why the threes tend to be kind of like a mail carrier would be. Just drop the mail off and then move to the next location, because there's so many messages that are intended for other people that you've received that you can't really slow down and get locked into the conversation with one person when you have all this other mail to deliver. So that's kind of the path that, yeah. So you may notice that you're pretty quick moving and fast moving, and that you don't like being locked in, but in a conversation when you have other messages to deliver to other people in the room. It's like, it's like going to a party and one person tries to lock onto you, and you want to just hang out with everybody there and just have, shoot the breeze with all the people that are at the party, rather than having your time occupied by one person. So when you know that, then you can know that that's the natural gift that you carry of keeping the energy moving amongst the people. And this can also be in your local community, or the community you consider your friends or soul family, because every soul family or group or community has an energy that moves through it that keeps it alive and flowing, conscious. So the way in which that's done nowadays is through social media, where you constantly stay in touch with your friends and keep that energy flowing between you. And that is one of the medicine qualities you have, is to keep people in touch with each other and point them out to avenues of knowledge and awareness that can advance their growth, and make sure that they stay connected with one another in this growing experience of being a larger family. Would you say you've been doing that throughout your life?
And more so now.
Yeah, it's like you're growing more so into your life.
So now, and I basically tell people, it's my message. I'm just the messenger. I'm just the messenger. And in fact, I was using the analogy that I'm the waiter. I didn't cook the food. You ate it. I'm just delivering it. So same thing with the message. It's just, yeah. And
the mail carrier is more kind of like it's like you deliver the present, and the person wants you to come inside and see what he got, right? You say, wait a minute, I've got all this other mail to deliver. This is your present.
There's too many stops. There's too many people.
Yeah, but that's the medicine you carry, is to keep that energy flowing amongst all these different people that are considered community, so that you have this lightness. You like to keep your feet moving. You like to be light on your feet, like a rock skipping over the water. There's a fast-paced quality to it that some people may feel like you're not interested enough in spending time with them, but actually you need to be on the move. And because you have so many people who are waiting for the message you bring. And when you understand that, you can explain that to other people, so they don't take that fast-paced movement of yours personally. There are times when you being a storyteller, it's important for you to master the art of listening to the stories others are telling, and through being present for them in their telling of the story, then they learn how to practice and master the art of communication themselves, because everyone has a story to tell. Everyone's full of stories, even in the most inconsequential conversations, small talk. A person's revealing who they are. So your beautiful capacity to tell stories that can open the opportunity to others to also tell their story. By there's a time to speak and there's a time to listen, and there's kind of a rhythm between the two. And you'll find that others will then, because they're so interested in your story, have a common experience to yours and want to tell their story as well. And that kind of links the two of you in a higher level of consciousness, where you feel the connection between you. So would you say you're a good listener?
Yeah, I'm working at that more.
Yeah.
It's only because people are slow go to get to the point, and I got to move on. It's like,
Right.
Cut to the chase. People don't. Most people do not really know how to tell their story. I figure out where it's going way before they do, but they need to express it. But they're not telling me anything I don't already know about them. I've
But
already read it.
It's in that person's telling of the story.
They need it.
And feeling that they're being heard.
Yes.
That they feel that their story has value.
Yep.
If you are interested enough in their telling their story, even though you may know the conclusion, you're telling them emotionally that your story has value. So that the real communication there is that I value your story. And in their telling of it, even though it might be childlike, you then give them a great gift of your presence. Your presence is a gift you give in that state of listening. So it's kind of a balance point for you, because you're by nature, you're so quick moving, and just because you have all these letters in your bag, man, you can't just, you got to keep moving. You're on that horse, man, and you got to, like John Revere.
I just had this conversation with myself this last week. There's people in my life, I'm with them when they need me, and I'm moving on to other people, and they think I'm their best friend, and I should be. And long periods of time, I'm working with all kinds of other people. Meanwhile, it's
exactly.
I was there for them when they needed me, and there's other people waiting, and I just and it's nothing personal. And I got a short time period to work with them.
Yeah, because you're inner directed. You have a high calling, a sense of a mission to accomplish, and that mission takes priority over anything in life.
Yep.
And I would say you're vertically aligned, rather than horizontally aligned. And for those people who are vertically aligned, they don't particularly get drawn into the drama of the horizontal world that most people consider their world or reality, because they have in other words, you're being directed by the spirit. And I always tell people, if I have to piss off people or the spirit, I always choose people. So because when I'm directed by the spirit, it's like, it doesn't matter what people think. I answer to the spirit, not to people. But there is a kind of a fullness that you're looking for in embodying the full power and gift of your presence with others as well. So the messenger also becomes out from behind being the messenger, and becomes more comfortable with being witnessed himself as a human being. And that's, I think, a big part of your journey. So any questions about that?
No, it's pretty much in line with what I'm doing. I've been retired 20 some years, and I'm now doing what I was born to do. It's my dharma, and it's like you said, it's driven. It's something I'm supposed to do, and I'm doing it. And
I would say
how tired I am, or what else is going on, or what it costs me.
I would say it's more directed,
Yeah, but I listen to myself, and it's like
an internal directive that you get.
Yeah.
Driven, being kind of out of control, but you're more directed. You have a clear direction that's like an inner command that you answer to. And the people that you're closest to and who you feel most connected to understand that about you. They recognize that that you're following the inner command directed by the spirit, and they support you in that. They don't take your movement away from them or in a different direction personally, because they know you're answering to the spirit, not to them, and they really support that. So every year, Bill, you have what's called a personal year number, Our lives tend to unfold in 9-year cycles. This particular cycle started for you in 2016. 2016 was the beginning of a whole new phase of your life. The more expanded aspect of your being began to incarnate.
All right, let me throw something at you. 2016.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Had a dream in 2016. I woke up. I knew I had to go to Europe. I had to go to England. I was gone 55 days. I get there. A lot of supernatural weird stuff happened. I almost died. I come back, and I'm in Florida. I get off the airplane. I'm in the hospital, and my astrologer, this Vedic astrologer, calls me up because I'm gonna have heart procedure the next day, and he goes, "Bill, it's the worst day on your chart ever. You know, so worst. You're gonna die tomorrow. I've never seen it worse." And I go, "No."
You want a near-death experience?
I'm
going a near-death experience and getting life.
Anyway, so it was like I knew that point it was like a passing and like a rebirth, even though I didn't go anywhere. Nothing really happened, but it was like a real fight. It was like I saw the chart. I mean, everything was lined up like, no, this is the worst day in the world. And he begged me not to do it. I mean, he never did that ever before. So it was interesting. So 2016 was kind of like an important year. And and then I really got focused on getting more open about delivering my message and taking more action and actually going out and delivering the message instead of just writing and online. Now I'm out there really literally around the world delivering the message. And apparently people are so hungry for that message now. I mean, literally, people are hungry for a softer, more loving, forgiving message. And because I'm giving them something they should know at their base roots. I go to India and I'm giving them their stuff, Indian stuff, back at them, but very childlike, using language and expressions and words I pick very carefully that are very childlike. And it's like it makes sense. It's clear without getting involved deep into all the mythology and language and all that stuff. And so that's where I'm at. So yeah. So 2016, that was like literally I was supposed to die.
So 2016 was the intent was set in motion.
Yep.
And it's been unfolding and developing ever since.
Yep.
And last year, or this year, it's like you set the intention to climb Mount Everest in 2016, and you've reached the top of Mount Everest this year. You're at the top. You've accomplished command and fulfilled what you call your dharma with that agreement, that soul contract that was set in motion in 2016. So the experience of that may be feeling like, okay, I'm at the top of Mount Shasta. Mount Shasta.
That is good. It's okay.
Yeah. And, I can't go any further than this. I've got to come back down the mountain and set up an entirely new intention for the next phase of my soul's growth. So have you felt that you've been really acknowledged and recognized this year?
More so than ever.
Gift that you
in California, by the President of the United States, by my local town. Yeah, I've been recognized all over the place and people worldwide.
Yeah, so
but now it's like now I was doing bigger audiences and stuff. Now I'm going for smaller, more spiritually based groups with a deeper message. And and I don't plan it out. It just happens. Like this thing happens. I just have a thought, you know, geez, I'd like to go to Czechoslovakia. Boom. Next day I get an invitation, go to Czech Republic. And then Switzerland comes. I just but it's where I'm supposed to be. And I don't worry about advertising and getting people there. My view is those people that are supposed to be there will come. If they're not there, they weren't supposed to be there. So
be there, there'd be an invitation from the spirit, and they would invite you to be, rather than you making it happen.
Yeah.
So
they come of their own.
And so it's like you have reached a point of the fulfillment and realization of the intention that you set in 2016 to be the fiery messenger throughout the world in person.
Yeah.
And looking at your chart, getting this message that you, in previous incarnations, have experienced highly enlightened states of love, like you were a love guru, far transcendent, above the ordinary state of human affairs. So in this incarnation, as the three, and with Mars conjunct Saturn in Cancer in your 7th house, I feel like you've set the intention to come back down from the mountain and speak the language of love in the language of ordinary people. So that greater love, that state of consciousness, that unconditional love pouring out from the source, could be communicated and experienced by ordinary people. They didn't have to be a monk and meditate for 20 years to achieve this enlightened state.
It sounds like you've been to my lectures, because that's the direction I'm trying to get people is, number one, I don't want them dependent on me. It's like the old story about, if you got a hungry guy, don't just feed him fish, teach him to fish. So I'm trying to teach them to love and to forgive, starting with themselves. Let's start with the basics, and then let it grow. And I'm teaching them what I'm trying to pass before I go. I figure I got another 8, 10 years, 12, maybe at the most. Before I go, I want to take my 7, 8 decades of life and take that knowledge that I have and the things I've learned, and try to find people that are receptive to taking parts of it, all of it, whatever they can handle. I'm finding out there's different levels. I went out first thinking everybody's no, not everybody's ready for it all, but parts of it they are. And it's an awakening evolutionary process. So for some people it's a start, for some people they've been waiting for something and they just needed a little coaching. So that's what I'm looking for, some people to coach. So basically I plan on going out and doing all this stuff kind of heavy till I turn 80, 2 years. And then I'm pulling back. I don't feel the need to continue on the road so much. And then it's going to be more book and more Zoom and occasional, getting together with people, because those people that really need it. So yeah, you're kind of right. It's getting easier now. Like this year coming up, I got the years booked as much as I want to. It's like I have to kind of hold back and it's enough. I'm not looking for things. Things find me. People find me.
Well, this is going to be especially true in 2024. 2024 is the open invitation by the higher power to deepen your connection with the source itself, with the angelic realms, the source of love pouring out that you embody. And the last 9 years was 2015. 2015 was your time to be with the higher power, to really be like on your knees in prayer, in a vision quest state of being impregnated by this deep, profound love, unconditional love pouring out from the angelic realms and beyond. So you could embody the deep inspiration, the overflowing holy grail of love, of flooding your heart, and realizing that what you carry is this overflow of love. When you make contact with these higher states of being, your capacity to love magnifies. It opens. It's like your heart breaks open even further, and you're able to contain more of the love that is poured out upon you from the angelic realm. And the number 9 year, this coming year, is about that. It's about the opening of your heart to even become a more capable vessel of an expanded heart chakra. So the heart chakra is the key through which then you can safely raise your consciousness into the ajna and above, and then speak the language of love. Because your mission is to speak the language of love in a way in which the ordinary person can feel the heart love energy that opens their heart as well. Not only that you love them, but that they are loved. And when they experience that, then their heart begins to open, and their vessel, their heart chakra begins to expand as well. So really, it's your presence that's doing the work. Whatever you say just adds to it. But it's your open-hearted presence that really begins to open their heart And then your gift then is to language that, find a language that communicates that, like Rumi did. And, it's like, there's this beauty in him. You can feel when Rumi speaks that he's like, his heart is just as big as the universe, and his language just communicates from that place.
What's interesting is I give these workshops, talks. They can be a full 3-day weekend. They could be an 8-hour. They could be 4. They could be whatever it is. I never prepare. Like I got 4-hour workshop tomorrow. I don't prepare. I have no notes. I don't do anything until I see the audience. When I walk up there, I open my mouth, and I'm just as surprised by what I'm going to talk about and say as anybody there. That they don't realize it's like, no,
yeah,
I don't even know what I'm going to say. But I totally trust what I call. I speak as with no net, like a tight walker, no net. I go out there, and I'm trusting that I'll have words to say. And I'm also, when I talk, it's so simplistic, and it's not hard to get there. I mean, I got college degrees, 2 college degrees, and all that stuff. But I intentionally speak in this softer place. People don't want the 50-cent words. They want direct love, and sometimes it just. Sometimes I'm just sitting. Sometimes I'm talking, and sometimes I just shut up on the stage, and I just look at my audience for 30 seconds, which people don't normally do when there's a public speaker, right? Sometimes I'm never in a rush. It's like if I feel something,
because your presence is communicating.
Yes,
and
it's all about energy and frequency. And if I got a live audience, it's different than. Although I'm finding out people from the videos are picking up energy, but in person, I'm able to, through my stories that I tell and through the mood I change, inspiration that I direct everything towards, they become receptive to my energy. If I can get them to laugh and cry and be odd and all these different emotions, more emotions I get them to handle, in a period of time, it just opens their heart up. And it stops their logical mind from analyzing everything I'm telling them. Because I don't want people to analyze. I want people to just feel.
Their heart's opening. And that's the point.
So that's
I have to give you some kudos for making friends with the silence. Because the less developed 3 will feel like when they're speaking, especially when called to be a speaker, that they need to fill the space with words.
Yeah.
And the silence actually is where the real power lies. So the more developed 3 has embraced the power of silence between the words, and their tone and way they speak can be almost like bringing everyone to a silent place where they're experiencing the power of the word within themselves. And that's, I'm right with you on not preparing. When I'm called to do a talk, my job is just to show up and sit down.
That's it. That's it. You sit up. You're available. You make yourself available to the universe. That's it. And what happens after that?
What's going to happen?
I don't own it. Like people say, oh, you healed me. You did. No, I said I don't heal anybody. It's all self-healing.
Because I began to realize that what determined what I was going to say was determined by the people who showed up.
Yes,
and I didn't know that at the time. So I had kind of an idea of the message that I wanted to bring. But the people who showed up called the message out of me. They just pulled it out of me. And I just became a vessel through which then they could hear what their soul was calling for. So I became very receptive to asking people, for a reflection or feedback, or if they had any questions, because that would tell me at which level they were hearing what I was saying. I didn't want to speak over them. I wanted to speak with them. And that in that way, it became a living conversation. I never lectured, and that's a horrible word. It's a sharing. It's a two-way communication. And then everyone in the relax. Nobody likes to be talked at. They want to be talked with. And they all relax and realize that I was going to just lecture at them, talk at them for an hour and a half,
Yeah.
And I learned to ask a question in the beginning. And that really relaxed people to really be present for the sharing experience that was to follow. So you're right on the same page with me. I can feel you on that. Yeah. But the 9 year, as you can probably go back to 2015 and realize that the inspiration that you received, your relationship to the higher power, the love that was pouring through you, then inspired you to act more. And you went from extreme yin in 2015 to extreme yang in 2016. It's like you had a message to bring you, and you were just off to the races. It's a whole new phase of your life that will begin in 2025. So this year is about your really opening your heart to that. It's almost like you'll get a new dharmic command, a more expanded dharmic command that you can even conceive at this point, because the angels will be involved here with a divine mission that will then fill your cup with inspiration, where you're just overflowing. The nature of love, when it reaches that level, is it can't help but share. You're just flooding out of your heart. It overflows. And that's when I'll know that someone's really in contact with the Niagara Falls of love that's pouring out from the source. You can feel it. It's just overflowing. They can't almost contain it. It's like they have to share it, And that level I know you've experienced and you are experiencing, but in this coming year, it's going to reach a profound level that you can't even comprehend at this point. And the depth of love that will just be almost like too much to handle at times, where you just feel like your heart's as big as the universe. And just your presence then will give you, command you to move in the world in a more dynamic and active way, starting in 2020, the end of next year onward, in a way you can't imagine right now. What I do notice in the 9 years that most of the work is done out of body. So many times people will feel that their physical energy.
There's some stories on that, and if sometime, but
Yeah.
we'll talk. But it's like, no, that's absolutely 100% accurate.
Yeah. But so when a person's in the nine year, because it expends a lot of their physical energies in the last 8 years, they can feel like they don't have the energy they used to have. It's because, and there's nothing wrong. It's because most of the work is being done in the higher planes out of their body. They're only like 10% of their body. So their bodies feel like, man, I just like, I have no energy. And you as an advanced soul, you'll know that's a state of conscious reverie or samadhi that
And
will deepen your.
what happens is this: I
Mhm.
get totally exhausted, and boom, if I'm doing an 8-hour workshop or satsang or whatever, all the energy I need is there right up until it ends. It's like boom. I've never failed the energy to do what I need to do. But I might not have it the rest of the week, but I have it for that. It's just I trust the universe. I trust that everything will happen. And it's
There's a certain shamanic technique of mastering not doing. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like purposely not doing.
Tell me what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's a certain inner commanding state of purposely doing nothing.
Yeah.
So that you're actually doing nothing on purpose.
Yes.
And, most in the Vedic, in the Vedanta tradition, that would be sitting in a cave and meditating. But it's like taking the power back to your core and realizing there's no obligation to define yourself. You're already beyond that. You're not defined by your doings in the world as other people any longer. You're defined then from that point on by your state of being. And when you're not doing, you're being. You're commanding the perfect ecstatic state of just not doing, knowing that whatever you do in the world will be by choice. You're no longer reacting to the world because you've mastered the art of not doing. You don't need to do anything anymore. You've done it. There's no dharma to fulfill. There's nothing to do but be. And then when you're called by the inner command to do, your doings then will be really clear, because you're doing so by choice. You don't have to do to define yourself or make a difference in the world. None of that matters any longer. You'll know that when it's time to do, you'll be commanded and you'll move in the world with perfect yam. And that won't be especially true in 2025 from the end of this year onward. But this year is about your just being with, in an exalted state of reverie, mastering the art of walking between the worlds, so that you actually become a bridge between the heavenly worlds and the earthly world. There's a certain state of alpha that shamans master. They, it's like they don't fall asleep or completely wake up. They're kind of in a reverie, and they move through the world in this heightened state of awareness, conscious alpha, where they realize that they are the bridge between heaven and earth. And their state of being is actually creating the bridge by maintaining that state of being. And if there's something to do along with that, beyond just being, then it'll be shown to you, and you'll have great influence and impact on others around you, because your doing then is really directed. But you already know that. I'm just confirming it. But the 9-year is about being in that state. And so if there are times when you just feel like, man, I am just not here, that's natural to the 9-year. There's nothing wrong. You don't have to try to pull yourself back down and respond to all the demands you might have from other people to show up and do things. And there may be times where you just say, I'm not feeling it, like the Clubhouse would say or something. It's not feeling it. I don't have the green light. I always look upstairs to the traffic light.
Now, it's like everything I do is not based on logic or analyzing the pros, cons, whatever. It's always based on, it's either yes or no from within. It's just a heart thing. It's like, no, I need to do this, even if it's going to be, like I'm going to be gone away from home for a long time this year, but I needed to do that. And then some people, I'm gonna do all this for you. I don't want it. I don't need it. I don't want people try to control what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. I'm very independent that way.
When I am asked to participate in something, I'll just say I'm just not getting a green light on it.
Yeah, that's it. It's like when you work on a healing with somebody.
Yeah, they get that. It's
you can't do that. You can't do that unless there's a green light. They're working their karma out.
I don't have to explain myself. Sometimes I don't even know why it's not green. I don't need to know. I know it's not a green.
Don't need to know. And really, it's not your thing. God will tell you what you need. I really feel that divine, if you open up that inner GPS, you know where to go and when to go. And sometimes
nothing.
Sometimes that means I don't do anything for weeks. And then sometimes I'm, 50, 60 days, I'm doing everything. It's like when it feels right, I go.
Mm-hmm.
So strictly, it's strictly a side thing.
So, you can recapitulate by going back to the last time you're in this, at this juncture of the cycle. It's really a spiralic cycle. It's not a circular one. You're at the same higher juncture, but at a higher level of the spiral, as a result of all that you've evolved into in the last 9 years. And then know that the transition from the last year of the cycle, the 9-year, to the year of fulfillment and illumination, to the new cycle is the most dramatic of the whole 9-year cycle. It's like someone just flips a light on and you're off to the races. So you're fulfilling and illuminating how the spirit has moved in your life and the lives of others to this point in your life, and really receptive to a whole new purpose, dharma, mission, directive being given to you from the higher realms, where you're just in a surrendered state, where you're just on your knees. And many human beings need a whole lot of challenge to finally drop to their knees and say, I surrender, help. Like, I have no effing clue as to what's going on here. I'm like walking through the fog. I have no idea where I'm going. And what I suggest as a discipline in the 9-year for most people is that when you're walking through fog, man, it's like you have no idea where you're going, man. You don't even know which direction to move in. But if you look down at your feet, you can see a few little steps you can take, right? So give your full attention to the few little steps you're shown, and keep doing that.
I have total trust in the universe. Call it God, call it divine, call it love, call it whatever. I trust And so I have great faith because my intention every day is to serve and to find ways to promote this mission that I got going, which is all about love and forgiveness, self-healing. I mean, it sounds so simple, but it's so deep. I mean, I could do 3-day workshops on it. Just people don't understand. Well, tell us that's no, you got to be there because you got to build people's, it's about changing and evolving their energy. And it's taken a life of its own. Um, I follow whatever command I feel. It's like, no, this is what I'm supposed to do. I know I don't have to. I know I'm not required,
Right.
but I feel I it's love why I'm doing it, because I love others and I want, it's their suffering that bothers me, and I want to help them. So even though
Yeah.
suffering is, there is no pain, there is no life. I mean, it gets down to those things, but people believe all this stuff it's real and they suffer and they feel the pain. So that's what I'm trying to take people. I'm just trying to take them to a different place at a different level, and being
Yeah.
realistic enough to know that people will only be able to absorb what they can.
Mhm.
That was
Well, I was shown by my own team a while ago not to be too concerned with the appearance of someone understanding or even receiving what I had to say. They told me that you're speaking directly to their soul.
plant the
They're
seed.
it's getting the full message. So don't pay a whole lot of attention to the outer appearance
Yeah.
when you give these. Your job is to deliver the message. Go. And then know that at some point later down the road, that seed that was planted may find the right conditions to sprout and bear fruit. But you can't know that at the moment. Don't be concerned about people's reactions. Just move through with the directive you've been given. Bring the message as clearly as you can, and then know that their soul has heard you. And that really made it a lot simpler for me, and I got a lot easier for me, because otherwise I started feeling like the person wasn't understanding what I was saying, and I had to, push harder or find other words to help them understand what I was saying. I said, "Don't do that, brother. Just keep it simple. Give the message and let go, because their soul's hearing you." And then after that, the whole the tendency to be an evangelist disappeared. You know, I was just one human being sharing love and giving the message I was given to give, and keeping it simple, like you said, and then letting go, keep moving. So transit wise, Saturn just moved into Pisces. As you know, you're a Pisces sun, and this is like a 30-year cycle. So 30 years ago, or 29 to 30 years ago, Saturn was in the same position of your being given the opportunity to become a spiritual master. And this is like the mastery of the power of love, building the bridge from heaven to earth. So you become a living example of having mastered and in command of your masculine being as an agent of the power of love moving in the world. And this is what the 9 years all about this coming year is. You're recognizing and being clear that you have achieved a certain level of mastery that is then recognized by other people around you. But this time, you're not walking around in white robes. You're walking around as another human being. And a big part of your incarnation is to just become an ordinary human being, so you can speak to ordinary people, and not without them feeling like you stood above them. You're
Yep.
just another guy around here, gone through all this crap yourself, and you're no different than us. And it's like you're landing the plane in the human realm, because you were at 30,000 feet in other lifetimes, but you're landing the plane in the human realm so that ordinary people, little people in their daily lives, can experience the depth of love that they're capable of as well. They don't have to be enlightened masters to feel this level of love. So that's really culminating at the end of next year. And by the time the new cycle begins, man, it's like, whoa, I really have achieved a level of mastery that has that I can have confidence in leaving a big impact in the world that I may not have felt I was qualified for or capable of before this point. Interesting enough, the Dalai Lama and Pope Francis both have Saturn in Pisces in their natal charts, and that they're a living example of having mastered a particular tradition, so that they are recognized as someone to listen to as an authority in spiritual matters. But the limitation of Saturn, though Saturn is the ancient traditions, is that they have bound themselves to what's already been achieved in terms of sacred text, and mastered that tradition rather than coming out from behind the tradition, revealing their own humanity and recognizing that everyone around them is just like them. They do their best to say that I'm no different from you, but they're walking around in robes, right? Or the Pope's, whatever garb he wears. And you said, the hell with that, man. I'm just going to be a mailman, in ordinary clothing and just walk around with humans, not even knowing who I am. So that when I do reveal myself, they'll recognize my humanity and not be intimidated by the message and feel like I'm better than they are. So I think
No, and that's it. I always tell people, don't follow the person, don't follow the character, follow the message. If the message is love, follow that. Too many people have this worship of personality cults, and then therefore you got a guru and he's got millions of followers, and you got a guy, whatever it is, he got born again Christian, he's got 50,000 people come to his church. It's something different. I'm trying to tell people, get out of the box. God has no religion. I don't care what religion you are. If what you are, great, celebrate it, be happy. But I'm out to convert nobody. I'm not promoting any dogma. I'm just promoting. I make it so simple. So I'm just promoting love and forgiveness, and so therefore I can go to all these different organizations. I started this year off I was in Salt Lake City talking to 100 and some Mormons. Right, got my message. I had a whole crowd. They were enthusiastic because I didn't get it in any dogma. They could understand love, forgiveness, service. Boy, they understood it. That's great. They were on board. And so that's
so
what
around that word forgiveness, there's because I've done a deep dive into the medicine of forgiveness. When I recognize that each person or situation in my life is giving me an opportunity to evolve to a deeper level of love, there's a gift being given by that which needs to be forgiven.
Yep.
And when I recognize the gift that was given, there's nothing left to forgive, because I realized that person or situation played its role in diving me deeper into the heart of love to understand its nature. And I had to do that deep dive. Otherwise, I would have been stuck in a certain quality of suffering that would have left me feeling out of balance or incomplete.
And what
so
I
once I see the gift,
what I found is, I don't know, when you go out talking to people, if you found that those people that you're looking at and you sense without judgment, but you kind of sense these people are on the spiritual evolutionary, they're moving up, right? I found that one of the requirements for the people that are spiritually hungry and are really moving up is to have a terrible childhood, have all these things happen to you early in your life, and it has made them, if it doesn't break them, it's made them diamonds. All that pressure and all that stuff going, they come out better than they ever would have.
I can raise my
it's like, okay, great, it wasn't so great, but you learn compassion for others, you learn to forgive, you learn that everything is a gift, even if it doesn't look like it. You get philosophically stronger. You count on relying on yourself.
I counseling, because my parents were screaming and yelling at each other. I knew they loved each other, otherwise they would have walked away. And I became their counselor. It's like I would sit them down at the kitchen table and said, "Rosemary, you tell Bernie what you just told me," and I would referee for them. That's how my whole counseling career got started.
Yep. So it fits the pattern.
Yeah.
So, I never in my life have ever said, "Woe is me! How come I didn't deserve?" I've never uttered anything like that. I've had cancer really bad. I've had 15 major surgeries on the face in the last 3 years. I mean, I'm talking about this nose was cut off 3 times. I mean, we're talking major stuff, 300 and some stitches in the face. I've been brutalized, and every time it's just love, and boom, 3 weeks I look just like this. You know, it's like it goes from looking like Frankenstein to
Right.
healing. Love heals. And if you look at pictures of me 20 years ago, I'm older looking by a lot than I am today. Now that I'm 20 years older, I'm actually younger looking, and the energy is younger, and it's interesting how it's kind of reverse aging process. Not, I still got arthritis, all these things, but it's something about self-love that really,
Well, you've made deeper contact with your immortal soul.
Yeah.
And the more deeply you are to your immortal soul, you experience timelessness, and you feel that you're immortal. And it's a lived experience. And Kundalini, once it activates, is the fountain of youth. It actually restores your beingness, and the fact it's not only an idea any longer, but the fact that you are immortal, becomes a reality, and that causes everything around you to, it's like you said, it's a reverse aging process. But you never age; it's just your body's aging. So, because you're connected with your immortal soul, your body soul can then experience some of that immortality, and he gets real excited and kicks in all his healing abilities and says, "Man, this feels great. This I want to play with this brother a little longer, And but that's one signature of a breakthrough on a shamanic level, or of a person making deeper contact with their immortal soul. It'll appear like they're ageless, because the soul's ageless, right? Your immortal soul. We don't die. It's impossible for us to die. It's just not possible. Our bodies die, but it's like death is impossible. It's a lived reality. And so that radiant immortality, which is your true nature, your true being, begins to radiate out more fully the more deeply you merge with and connect with your immortal soul. So that's what I would say about that, where it's like, I'm looking, and every time I look for this great initiation we call death, I have an inner excitement about it, because a whole brand new adventure will start. It's like, and my body friend here says, "Man, I'm a little freaked out." But I just tell him that, we'll be able to create a whole new one, and he starts getting excited with me about this whole brand new adventure. So I feel that as the 9-year unfolds, through this inner excitement about the fact that you are a living example of a soul embodied immortal soul, will cause you to even be more influential on people, releasing any fear they have about their own mortality, and getting that message through that you can't die, it's impossible, is part of the gift you may be bringing to other people around you, and that it'll change their whole view of their experience here on planet Earth. So this is really like, what I'm sensing here is this is like the culmination and graduation year coming up for all you've intended to achieve on mastering the art of being the love guru.
Yeah. I think that, or people call me Brother Love.
Yeah.
Brother Love's coming to town with this.
Yeah, exactly.
This mystical tour. Magical.
But not that you've mastered the art of communicating that love in words that others can receive, understand, and embrace. That's your part in it, as the messenger. You become the wordsmith of the language of love. Rumi's gift was his poetry. He was able to master the art of poetry to communicate what he'd already been experiencing by being in contact with a higher power. But his gift was his mastery of poetry. Your gift is a gift of speaking publicly, or whatever, however you use your words, your language, to get that message through, to write it down or communicate it to others, and encourage them also then to master the art of communicating love to others around them as well. Sometimes we can feel love, but we're not sure. We don't have we haven't mastered the art of communicating it to others. And then those who are most important to you will say, I don't know that you love me. I'm not sure. But when you communicate it, then they're sure that they are loved, even though that, you and I don't need that as much, but most people do need to feel that reassurance that they are loved and they're recognizing the beauty of their being. And I feel that's all you do. So yeah. So this is quite an ordinary year coming up. And you can go back, 2016 was the beginning of this cycle. 2007 was the previous cycle. I don't know if anything happened in 2007 onward, but that was a new cycle beginning as well. So you can recapitulate back over your life to gain context for the opportunity being presented to you now. And about around Thanksgiving, did you feel like a real big boost in energy? Oh, actually, just about 4 or 5 days ago, last weekend.
I feel great calmness.
Yeah, because you started.
And everything is just, people are contacting me, things are happening, I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
It's effortless. People volunteer. No, so whatever desires I've had or thoughts, I need to do this or that, I don't have, that's it. It's all, I just have to have that thought, and then days later or an hour later, or these things become, they're happening. So the lesson there, of course, be careful what you think about and wish for, right? Because it's like, wow, it's being created, and it doesn't take much effort.
Yeah. So number 9 year too is also a visitation year, where presences of a higher order state of being show up either in the dream time or actually physically. So I don't know, have met others who you recognize as counterparts of yours. Then that recognition of others who are counterparts of yours may increase, so that you realize that you have a whole team that's working together here. They'll even magnify the influence that you have, this love portal that you are a manifestation of even further. So I would be alert to angels appearing in disguise. Let's put it that way.
It's been happening periodically.
Yeah. Well, this is the year that you're going to really be kind of, the impossible becomes possible when the angels get involved. It's like the unimaginable becomes the Red Sea parts, and you wave at the fishes while you walk by. It's like, wow, this is impossible, man. This is like, yeah, and that's when I know the angels are involved, and the depths and degree of compassion and love that floods through you will increase and expand, where it becomes even more of a lived reality. So this is a beautiful year for the culmination, illumination, and graduation of all you've done in this lifetime and others to great clarity and purpose, directed by love.
That's kind of what I've been doing. Again, everything is, there is no, I don't sit down and say, I don't think linearly, and here's a line, I'm gonna start at the beginning, I'm gonna do this to get to there. I'm in a circle, and I can go anywhere in that circle. I don't have to go through the whole process. It's like, boom, okay, I'm here in the circle. I don't need to go from the beginning of the road all the way to here. I can just go to the mountain. It feels like that. It feels like I'm connecting with things more clearly, and I'm meeting people that are being so helpful to get my message out. It's amazing me. I don't have to do a lot of effort to convince people that, hey, look, this is an important message. I don't have to ask people; they're there. So that's been the real surprise, is the universe.
It's interesting when I'm called to do
somewhere else. Yeah, people are popping into my life that are promoting what I'm trying to do, and I don't know if they fully realize how they're being used.
You are. I can literally feel someone that I'm in that new location where I'm going to do the talk or whatever is calling me. It's like they're pulling me there. And if I go and it's just that one person that required my presence and that message, it can be 1 in 10,000. I've done my job, but I can really feel that.
Yep.
People
That's
pulling me
exactly
there.
what I'm at. That's why I don't even worry about the tenants. I always say those that are supposed to be there will show up. If they
Yeah.
weren't supposed to be there,
They're literally calling me there. It's like their spirit is calling me to show up. It's I can feel the pull, you know. Yeah, and you're in the same, you know,
and you
position.
never know when you go there. You open yourself up, and so if you prepare, because I've been places, conventions, and international organizations, and I was a keynote speaker with all these keynote speakers. They're in their rooms practicing for 2 or 3 hours for their keynote. And the guy, well,
I never have a
months, and I'm going, what? And they got a chart, and they got a flip thing on the screen, and overheads, and I'm going. I go, how do you rehearse something from the heart? You just get up and talk, right?
It's like my team came through, brother. Your job is just to show up.
So you just show up.
So now I get the green light. Just go. Don't even try to front load anything about why you're going. You'll know when you sit down in that chair. And then I open my mouth, and it just starts flooding through. And I literally have to listen back to it afterwards to really remember what I said. It's like, whoa, because I'm learning in the middle of the process myself about how love moves in the world. And the whole point of the message is to recognize love where people could not see love before. And how the beauty and gift of love is always present, but we just can't see it sometimes or understand how it's moving. So I can be in my communication, I can support someone in seeing love where they could not see it before. I've really done my job. And there's a gratefulness, and the natural consequence then is gratitude. And gratitude is followed by forgiveness. But it's a natural process. You don't have to do forgiving. It naturally occurs. It unfolds. You can't help but forgive once you see the gift and beauty of the experience, and what it's brought to you in terms of your own soul's evolution. So that's the way I've been guided. Now, you said it sounds to me like you're, a brother from another mother. You're in the same place,
Yeah, I'm basically telling people that there's only one. They go, one what? There's only one. There's the creator. Call the creator love, whatever you want to call it. Call it Jesus, Buddha, I don't care. But it's just love. And from that, we were created. So we were created from love. And we're made in God's image. So if God's love, we're made in God's image, which is love. And I said, and then if you love yourself and you realize that God is you, then when you're loving you, you're loving God. And then if you realize that everybody else out there that you see, they're not separate from you, they're a part of you. You're just seeing another you. How could you wish them harm? How could you harm an enemy or anybody else? It's like they are just an extension of you. So like if I'm working on healing or something, I'm seeing them as just, I'm seeing myself. So when I work on me to heal, I'm trying to promote healing. I start with me. I love me. I heal me. I forgive me. And then I just extend the greater me is them, right? I'm trying to teach people the greater them is me. It's you. There is no one else. When you're praying to God, that means you're separated from God. There's no to God. Everything's within you. There's no other time, place, or space. This is it. It's all one. And that's a concept that people have a hard time with. But if I'm happy if they just
always happens.
Loving. That's all. Just love.
It always has been one.
Yeah.
And part of what awakening is realizing how that's true. It's like and then when you awaken, like you have, to the fact that we've always been one, then it becomes a lived experience for you. And you realize we've been one all along. I just wasn't aware of it.
That's all.
And awakening is just becoming aware of the fact that we've always been one. You don't have to create unity. It's always been there. So the awakening process is becoming aware on deeper and deeper levels of how true that is as a lived experience. It's one thing to have an idea of it. It's another thing to have a lived experience of it.
No, there's difference between philosophy and experiencing.
Because you've had many encounters with the higher power, and because of that, you had a profoundly lived experience of the unified power of love that radiates throughout creation. It's a lived experience for you. You're speaking from lived experience.
Here's what's
Most people,
here's what's interesting about 2024, because a lot of what I teach is from my days when I was an apprentice for a Kahuna priest. Talk about a shaman, the Hawaiian religion, right? And what they used to teach was self-love, forgiveness, gratitude, and all things that now are popular. But back in the 60s, when it just became a state, nobody heard that stuff, right? So I was this young guy, and that's what I was taught. So that was my roots. And then into yoga and going to India a number of times and meeting people and learning stuff there through yoga energy and all that. I've taken these two things and I kind of joined them together because I see the energies and the frequencies are really the same. And this year, I'm getting invited to workshops where I started in Hawaii. So I'm kind of going on. And then I'm going to end the year back at Babaji's cave in India, going back there again. So it's like I'm touching the roots at the beginning of the year and the end of the year, where everything is bookmarked, bookmarks in between, right? It's like bookends here. But it's like my roots was Kahuna, shaman stuff, Kahuna, and yoga.
Right.
And it's interesting, without any planning, that I'm starting the year off in Hawaii in February, and I'm ending the year in India, back at Babaji's cave, where I had a profound experience. And so it's like, and so it's like, for some reason, it felt like I needed to connect these two energies, and it's going to happen this year. It's like, that's weird. I couldn't have planned it. It's like,
well, that's interesting. You're going to see Babaji's cave at the end of the year, because that's when Saturn reaches your sun, and and I was talking about a visitation year coming up. The end of the year is the culmination of that visitation portal. So you're going to meet Babaji.
the last quarter of the year. Yeah.
Yeah, you may have this profound, actual lived visitation experience that will anchor all you've been attempting to achieve, preparing you for a whole new way of being in 2025 and onward. So wow, that's perfect. That's a perfect culmination to the vision quest of your entire incarnation. And this is in that visitation cave. So wow, congratulations. I'm really looking forward to hearing more about that.
Yeah, so I'm thinking,
wow.
I was writing a book in the last couple of years, and then I just stopped. I said, no, there's something missing.
Yep.
And it's like everything I did this year and everything I'm going to do this next year, then I can write it, because I think I needed these two bookends, and it's going to bring the whole thing together.
Yep.
And I'll have something more profound to write about. I don't want to just produce a book because people want it. I want something. I don't want stuff. I want something that's going to take them to another level. And
and the end of next year is the bookend.
Yeah,
that illuminates an entire chapter of your incarnation.
Yeah,
prepare.
So it's
timing. Yeah. So I just want to confirm that for you and congratulate you on listening.
So there's a lot of sub stories I could fill in there where you're talking about stuff. I don't know if you watched any of my videos or anything, where I've had lots and lots of out of body experiences. Different though than, really different kinds of stuff. Time travel stuff, experiences where other people witnessed me someplace. People swear I was there, and I stopped a suicide, or got somebody to stop drinking, got sober. All kinds of stories all the time. I even got a call from the sheriff's department to High Patrol a couple of years ago that they swore that this guy, that they had a SWAT team out, and this guy was a killer, and he was a Vietnam crazy vet, they said, and all that stuff. But he was 17 hours holding out in this house where he had 100 police officers outside, 3 SWAT teams. And finally in the morning, he gave up and he told the police officers that Reverend Bill McDonald, he gave him a telephone number, had been there all night long, convincing him to turn himself in and not kill any more people. And they called me up to thank me. I didn't know what the hell they were talking about. And I go, yeah, I was in bed last night in this zoned out dark sleep where it's like I'm a zombie gone. And then I read in the paper and everything, and I get this telephone call from the spokesman for the show. So they thought, well, maybe you were on the phone with them all night. And I didn't know what they were talking about. Yeah, okay. But then I see the story and everything. But I suicides, I've had people, they swear to God I was there in a real life dream and stopped them with the suicide. And I mean, it's just hundreds of cases of stories, including a Catholic priest that had the periodic visions of me visiting him. As I looked at when I was 45 or so, he was seeing me when he was 4 years old as an orphan in New York. And he's like 5 months older than me. So it was like I was a young kid when he was a young kid, right? But he was seeing me as, and then he met me at that age that he saw it, but he'd been looking all over the world for me and found me, and he was a Catholic priest in San Jose, and Father Jack LaRocca.
Right.
Yeah, it's just been profoundly different, but it's been so much that I don't get excited anymore. Things happen, balls of light, look like sun in your room, and an arm comes out and puts it on your head and just blissing out, and your spine is taken off like a helicopter. And you name it, it's all happened. And I never get excited. It's like I could have a smutty experience and just go something super, and I'll wake up. You might not never know about it. And it's like the old thing: go chop wood, sweep the porch, fetch the water. I really believe in that. But when it's actually happening, I don't get excited at all. It's like, yeah, I expected this. This is normal. And it's not normal. I mean, it's like, you got this great being in front of you, like Siva Teshwar appeared to me in India. And I had a witness. Well, here, you got time for a story?
Sure.
Okay. So I'm in India. This is in 2011 when I had a major heart attack, 2011, and ended up having a near-death experience. Well, that's part of it. But I'm at the ashram. I'm asked to go home because I had a major heart attack. So I'm leaving the ashram all packed up, and I'm sitting in this room, the kitchen, and there's a bunch of people in there. And I'm telling this story because it addresses frequencies, beliefs, because you could have something appear, an angel, a God, a great being. Some people will see it as a vision. Some people will see it as a solid body. Some people will see light and love. Some people will nothing at all and think you're crazy. That was the case. I turned around and there was Paramahansa Yogananda's guru, Siva Teshwar, standing in the flesh and blood, not a vision, not an astral being. It was flesh and blood standing right next to me, behind me, with his hands behind his back, and then looking at me and all this kind of stuff. But I look around the room. There was a couple of girls from Scandinavian countries, and their idea of yoga was to go out there and get the yoga suits and do the postures, and not too heavy into the meditation, but they're into all the rest of the stuff, right? And I said, you see anything? And they looked at me like I was crazy. They go, no, you're crazy. And then there was a guy from Texas, and he was sitting there, and he'd been meditating, I don't know, about 10 years, but he was in serious stuff. And he goes, Bill, he says, there's a bright light behind you, and I'm feeling such great love. I just feel loved, but it's just bright light behind you. I said, okay. And then there was this other guy, and he looked at me, and I said, what'd you see? He says, you ain't gonna believe me. I said, no, try me. And he says, well, I see this vision of Siva Teshwar standing there. So apparently the body's not totally solid. It's kind of, like a vision-like thing. And I said, and he describes exactly what he's doing and everything. And I go, no, Brian, I said, that's exactly what's there. Except I saw it in the flesh and blood materialized. So there you had a mystical event happen, and only those that had their frequencies tuned in, depending on the degree of attunement, determined what they saw or felt. And that's why if you look at all the stories of the Catholic Church, right, it's usually some children that see the Virgin Mary, and the adults don't see it. Like they're all upset because they didn't see it, right? The children, which I've described me as like a child, I accept it. I expect to see it, and it's not unexpected. It's not even a miracle. It's just, yeah, there it is, right? It's like this is the norm. This is normal. So anyway, so I've had.
It's like a little girl seeing a unicorn. You know, it's like you don't see it. You know, this is just normal for me. I'm seeing unicorns and elves all the time. This is normal. You know?
Yeah, what's
really
interesting is
it's just the same.
We feed our children beliefs in Easter bunnies, Tooth Fairy, Santa Claus, right? And yet when they tell you that they're seeing an angel, it's like, yeah, okay, fine. You know, it's like, you know, hey. So my thing is have faith.
Beautiful thing about you telling the story is like you the beautiful thing about you telling that story about your experiences is you tell it in a matter-of-fact way.
Yeah.
I've noticed that if I just say things that are profoundly extraordinary, this is a matter-of-fact truth, simple. People don't people hear it. They get it. I'm not exaggerating. I'm just telling this matter-of-fact truth. Okay, there's an angel standing there. You know, I remember years ago, there was an auto accident, and you could see the car was just so mangled. You could see the dress like falling out of the car and everything. And this teenage boy was standing next to me, all freaked out. And I just said in a matter-of-fact tone, I said that woman is like hovering above the car, and she's looking for, you know, her son. And he said, really? And I could feel his whole complete reality shift. But I said it in just a normal matter-of-fact way, as if, you know, no big deal. And he got it. Rather than trying to preach or evangelize, I just told the truth matter-of-factly. And you have that same quality about you. It's normal, you know, no big deal.
Oh,
and
no,
people,
honestly, it's not.
You know,
it's like
right. When you talk about experiences like that in so matter-of-fact way, people get it. They can really hear you when you say and they says, yeah, that's normal. Okay, cool. You know, no big deal. And so that really tells, you know, that speaks to this being a lived experience for you. It's not something that, you know, you're thinking about or believe is true.
And you don't get excited about it, and then you don't analyze it.
Right.
See, what people do is they're always as soon as you start to analyze it, you're not going to see it. It's gone because the analytical mind is not going to handle that. You have to be out of your mind, which maybe is my problem, or have no mind. And in the no mind state, these things are normal. But if you're in this analytical, these intellectual, you know, facts and data, you know.
And, you know, another thing I noticed, I remember reading Carlos Castaneda when I was just sitting on the edge of my seat every time his new book would come out. And my team says, don't try to understand what he's communicating here. Your soul is storing this in your soul history, so that when you have a similar experience, you'll have that as a reference point to draw on. So when you're telling people about these extraordinary experiences, they may have no clue to what you're talking about, but in the following that, they may have an experience with an angel, and they direct experience, and they'll say, "Oh, that's what Bill was talking about." But they'll have a reference point because of your story. So you're giving them reference points that will help them if, in fact, they have a non-ordinary experience in the future. So it says, okay, yeah, well, that's what I'm doing. But I'm telling and you know, my account of my non-ordinary experiences. I know people have no capacity at that point to understand what I'm talking about, but it's giving them a reference point for their own future experience that they can draw on.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
also discovered to pick your audiences. I have my own audience, people coming, I'm okay. But when you go to someplace else,
Yeah.
um, you have to meet the what I call the rules of the house. If you're in a Lutheran church or wherever you're at, you can't take them so far outside of their comfort zone. So, but I got so many beautiful stories that will make them feel good about love and forgiveness and things. So I always go there. I mean, I don't go into a church and talk about a guru, or karma,
No.
So I can find ways to
Well,
deliver the same truth
that's what I was saying earlier.
with
Yeah, that's what I was saying
their
earlier
words
about
and
you
their
being.
language.
Yeah, I was saying earlier about the number 3 being a storyteller. It's when you're telling your own story that is more impactful than anything you could try to explain to them in terms of intellectual understanding. Just tell the story,
Yeah.
and of your own personal with the non-ordinary, and that really gets the message across. Yeah.
But it's
So
in telling stories, if you do them right, if I got a live audio,
yeah,
it's not, there's a message that's obvious or semi-obvious, but there's always, if I get people to just dig below the surface, there's always an additional message. And
yeah,
so it's just like all scriptures, there's the obvious, there's always some stuff, right? Like what they
yeah.
really, because obviously the story is, a story, what do they really mean here? So, but
The story, yeah.
so you
Well,
out there, do you live up in
what?
Shasta?
Yeah, I've been here for the last 16 years. Yeah.
In Shasta or
So
McLeod or where?
I'm actually at the base of Black Butte,
Oh,
between Weed and Mountain, in a little trailer with a 17-foot totem pole in my front yard. It was placed there to let me know I'm in the right place.
I mean, every time the last decades, but not too nice to Weed. Weed's had what, half the town burned down over the last 20 years or something. Every time,
Yeah, it's been really,
but in a way,
and
in
the whole.
a higher way, it's cleaned up a lot, and there's some new stuff being built, and it's allowed people to move in and move out, and it's changed the nature and the vibration. Weed, I think, is better for it.
Yeah,
It feels cleaner. It feels better.
the end comes in through the north gate, which is Weed, but especially out toward Lake Shastina. They have that area called Rock. I don't know if you've been out there, but that's the north gate. That's where the power comes into the mountain. Um, if you haven't been out there, that's really extraordinary. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that area up there. I used to. This sounds crazy, but I've had times where I'll wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll get my pickup truck parked in the driveway,
Yeah.
and I drive all the way up the hill at Shasta, right to what's that parking lot at the top up there where it's got a name. I can't even think of the name of the parking lot up there, but you get up
Got
there,
it.
and then I'll sit in my car and I'll watch the sunrise,
Uh-huh.
meditate, and then I'll drive into Shasta
Yeah.
and breakfast, and then I'll turn around, drive all the way back, start my day. I mean, you're talking. I live 15 miles south of Sacramento, so it's not exactly close. I mean, it's
Right.
3.5 hours or so each way. But people look at me and go, "What? You did what?" I go, "Well, yeah, I just felt like seeing the sunrise up there, and I just went." Like, what? What?
Beautiful.
I go, "No, that's it." But what else you do? No, I didn't even stick around. I had breakfast and left. That was it. I was happy.
You're starting to sound like Lynette.
That's it. You feel to do it. Even if it's 3, 4 o'clock, you just get up and you just do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You're a magical child.
yeah. All right. Is Lynn going to be nice? Is she going to be behaving herself up there? Should I worry about her?
Yeah. It's Lynette's turn now.
Hi there.
So I
Sweet
appreciate
Rev.
this. Thank you for the gift. I'm going tomorrow to El Cerrito and 11 o'clock at this Swedish church. They got this Swedish church on this hill overlooking the bay where you could see it through the big windows in the church. You could see the Golden Gate Bridge and the Bay Bridge and Alcatraz and everything. It's 4 acres around the church of forest. And then it's in the middle of a 90-acre county park or something. You know, when you're driving down the highway, before you get to Berkeley, you can see that hill that's got all the trees on it. There's like a hill totally out of place. I think that's where it's at. I haven't been there, so I'm going to find it in the morning. So I'm going to get up really early tomorrow because I feel there's going to be a lot. My sense is if I leave later, I'm going to hit all that traffic coming back from Tahoe and Reno from the holidays. So I'm going to go real early, and I'm going to end up so early there because it starts at 11. I'll probably end up being there at 8 o'clock in the morning. Well, I'm just going to pull in the parking lot, and I got the view, and I can meditate in the truck, and I can relax. And whoever shows up, shows up. I can't imagine showing up on a holiday Saturday between the 2 major holidays. But whoever's there is going to be there, and the church is giving it to me for free to use. So my gas money. So I go, you know what? That's good enough. So that'll be fun. So.
Aw.
So, do you have any other questions about something I haven't addressed in your life, or do you feel complete?
No, it's right now. I'm looking at this thing. In fact, I put a video out on it that I was going to spend 3 years, really taking this thing on the road. And at the time I made the video, I hadn't been on the road. I hadn't done anything. It was like, and then I just started doing everything, right? No plan, no nothing. But everything I said in that's turned to be true. It's turned out to be a worldwide thing. It's like it's all over. But I also said that when I reach 80, which is I'll be 78 in March. So when I reach 80, I want to kind of slow that back down. And now it's time at that point to preserve my words in books and video, and have smaller groups that are more serious, that I can teach, not just coming to see me type thing. So I don't figure I got 10 years. If I got 10 years, I'm kind of concerned. I think I got enough time to do what I want to do. So my goal is not to stay alive so I can see Super Bowl, whatever is coming up, or, do this or take a vacation. No, I need to stay alive to reach all the people that I've seen in my visions, people that I know are waiting for me. I'm kind of checking those off. I see the faces and I go, okay, this is another group. And they come because I think they sense something. There's people come. I had one guy come. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know who you were. I just found out about it this morning. Somebody said, and he shows up. He's like, what do you do? I said, sit down. This is where you're supposed to be. And so that's what's happening.
Timing. You're between the progressed eclipses right now, starting about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
The age of 90. 90 is like a massive cosmic punctuation mark of your life.
Well, my Vedic chart said between 88 and 90, I was going to expire. I mean, that sounds right. If I made 90, that'd be okay. I have no desire. I have no great desire to live more, but I want quality of service while I'm here now. And so if I could give another 10, 12 years of promoting love and service, I'm happy. So then it's not that I want to die or I don't want to die. Like even if I died the next year or something, I feel like I haven't done everything I'm supposed to do. Although I don't feel required, there's no requirements that I do anything. I don't feel that. It's totally volunteer, but it's like.
But Bill, a lot depends on the choices humanity makes. We can't, because free will is involved, we can't know that. So as long as the choices are made to continue to open the heart, will be needed here and called for. But we can't know what others will be worldwide. So
I've had the first naughty palm leaf reading I had, it only was 10, it was from 2010 to 2020. And everything happened there except for one thing, which was my death. Because they basically go, we never tell anybody this. In your case, looks like it's almost in stone. It's the only way it's not going to happen is if Lord Shiva, Babaji, the powers to be, needs you, not that you need to be here or something you want. It's you given more time because it's for work. Okay. And so anyway, I was told if you go to India in 2020, you will die. Well, 2020, the COVID came. I didn't go anywhere. At the end of 2020, then I got another reading from somebody else, and basically said, "No, you've been given an extension. This is like a rebirth." That was in 2020. It was kind of like, go forth. You got, till 89, 90 around there. Wasn't exactly a science because it really said it depends on a lot of stuff, but between 88 and 90 with no definitive, depending on the mission. But I was told my job, according to the reading,
Bill,
the job
it's
was,
impossible.
they
Bill.
the job I was looking at was I'm supposed to write more books, make them shorter, easier, briefer, and simpler, because people don't want to read 300 some page books anymore, and get my message out there, and teach and take what I've learned and give it. So that was it. So okay. Then I felt that, then I've kind of been doing that, and I was kind of on that course anyway. So that's it. So your reading kind of fits right in with that.
I want to leave you with one final thought for you to consider. There is a strong suggestion here of your meeting others and becoming a part of a council of elders.
Yeah.
That because I'm picking up this message about a whole new world religion beginning in 2026. And there are those who have been prepared to be a part of the council of that. Have worldwide.
Yeah, worldwide, there's a shift. Of course, you could get into the White Brotherhood, you could get into all the I am stuff, but basically, there really is an order. There is an order there.
Yeah.
And I speak from experience. Let's just let it go at that. I'm not working for me.
Right.
I really am following orders. That's what I'm sensing. And so I don't question it. And I go, I said, it feels right. So I do it. Well, I appreciate this. I'm going to go to bed so I can get up early tomorrow and get to El Cerrito.
Yeah.
You guys know, what's El Cerrito mean in Spanish? What's Cerrito? El is the. Cerrito is what? Must have a meaning to that name. I don't know. I don't know foreign languages that well at all. Anyway. Yeah, let's see.
Meaning.
Anyway, all right. I'll talk to you
It's been
guys.
an honor to.
I'm going to end the
We
recording.
always send.
And let me see if I get the recording stopped.